Your card has been declined. My wife was mid-flight to Paris with her boyfriend.
After lying that she's going for a business trip, $75 Ks was charged to my account, so I froze it and watched the panic begin. Their dream trip? Oh, 5 minutes later, she got an email that made her turn pale instantly. I always check my bank app first thing in the morning. It was a ritual, my phone buzzing on the nightstand, my fingers fumbling through the crackle of sleep until I found the icon. Some people read the news or roll through social media. I watched numbers update. It was comforting, a small reassurance that my world was intact. That Monday, I was half-dressed, standing in the bathroom doorway with a travel mug of coffee in one hand, and a shirt sleeve dangled off my shoulder in the other. The shower steam curled behind me like a curtain. I tapped the app and waited for it to load, expecting the familiar red and green of debits and credits, the routine calculus of my salary being spent and replenished in its predictable cycle. What I saw instead made the mug tremble in my grasp. $75,000. $75,000 gone. My jaw dropped, coffee sloshing over the rim. My heart jolted, and my chest felt hollow, like I had exhaled every reassuring breath I'd taken that morning. I stared at the list of transactions, incredulous. Several entries, each labeled in sleek impersonal font: luxury flights, boutique hotel, gourmet dinner, and one cryptic line: private car service. The only thing missing was a name. There was no description hinting at who had booked these extravagances. I didn't order a flight to Paris. I didn't dine at an exclusive Rome restaurant. I certainly didn't hire a driver around Geneva in the dead of night. And Olivia, my wife, she was away, or so she told me. She said she'd been summoned to Chicago for a sudden conference, a routine client visit. Chicago was a significant trip, but the flights I saw were transatlantic. Only one of us could be surprised, and I felt like I'd been completely blindsided. My breath hitched. I nearly dropped my mug. I shut off the faucet and leaned against the marble counter, my reflection swimming in the mirror behind me. My eyes were wide, unblinking, as if I expected the numbers to morph back to normal if I stared long enough. A single drop of coffee smudged my reflection's chin. I swallowed hard. This wasn't a software error, or a glitch. This was deliberate. $75,000 didn't vanish due to a software hiccup. It evaporated because someone authorized it. Someone with access to my account. Someone like Olivia. I didn't call the bank, not yet. My adrenaline surged, boiling past panic into a state of cold control. I closed the app and navigated to our shared location, sharing application. My thumb swiped open our map, and I held the phone steady as I watched the little blue dot, representing Olivia's phone, appear in Chicago. Or so I thought. My pulse rattled against my ribs, while I confirmed she'd used that same map to assure me she'd be home Wednesday morning. But there she was, stationary, in Chicago time. No, I zoomed out. The dot sat over the Atlantic. I panned slightly east, and the city label shifted. The Eiffel Tower icon peeked from behind the ocean line. A plane icon moved slowly toward the French mainland. I swallowed a wave of nausea. My wife wasn't in Chicago. My wife was halfway across the world. My mind raced through possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. Could Olivia be in a difficult situation, forced into fraudulent spending? Unlikely. Could someone else have my credentials? Maybe, but why link luxury expenses to her device? It was too neat. She was involved. I pressed my lips together and forced a sense of calm. I could feel my heart thundering in my throat, but I didn't let the panic take over. Not yet. I would gather evidence. I would maintain clarity. First, find out exactly where she was going. I tapped the flight tracking app. The interface crawled as it updated. Tangled codes unraveled into a flight number. Air France Flight 67. Departure from JFK at midnight. Arrival scheduled for 1:00 a.m. Central European Time. I traced her progress as if I were a surveillance operative, not a husband. At 35,000 feet, she'd be airborne for 7 hours. She had time. I had time. I needed a plan. I set the phone on the counter and watched the creamy coffee pool at my feet. My bathroom floor was tiled in white, and the dark stain grew until it resembled spilled ink. I grabbed a towel and mopped at it. But the sensation of watching my money vanish wasn't something a rag could absorb. Not today. I dried my hands deliberately, ignoring the slight tremor. I walked into the bedroom and retrieved her suitcase from under the bed. It was locked, but any half-decent lock could be circumvented. I didn't need to rummage. I only needed her boarding pass or whatever physical proof of her deception I could find to bolster what my bank call would uncover. With her suitcase in tow, I hurried downstairs, my headset in one ear playing a muted news podcast, my laptop balanced in my free hand. Once I reached my home office, I dropped her bag on the desk and booted up the computer. I opened a fresh browser window and navigated to our joint airline account. My credentials, everything was there. A record of her booking, the passenger manifest, and I swallowed at the sight. 2 tickets, one in her name, and another in a name I didn't recognize. Julien Dubois. My blood chilled, and the hairs on my arms prickled. Julien Dubois. He was no business associate, no client. I'd met him once at a fundraiser. Olivia had mentioned his name in passing. A gym acquaintance who shared her spin class. I'd assumed it was innocent banter, nothing more than friendship. Now, under that innocuous label, I saw the outlines of betrayal. A hot flicker of bitterness ignited inside me. My wife spent our savings on him. She had lied to me for weeks. What else was she keeping from me? I didn't shout. I didn't hurl accusations into the phone. Instead, I clicked the tab for my bank's customer service line. I appeared calm, deliberate. The call connected, and a sterile voice asked how they could help. I said I'd like to report unauthorized transactions on my account. I spoke slowly, articulating each word. Yes, I'll hold. The empathy in the agent's voice was programmed, but sufficient. She paused to verify my identity, then asked if I wanted to freeze the card. We were in sync before I'd said much. I said immediately. I clicked back to the flight tracker and monitored the plane's progress. Paris lay just ahead. Olivia, unaware, was flying into the consequences of her own actions. I took a slow breath, feeling an odd serenity wash over the raging tempest inside. The bank agent's voice returned. Your cards will be locked within minutes. You'll receive confirmation via text. I thanked her, and ended the call. My gaze flicked to the window. Dawn was breaking, light painting the city skyline in pastel hues. This morning routine: check the bank app, check the news, pack a lunch had handed me a stark revelation. Betrayal burned, but it didn't consume me. It illuminated the decay that lay hidden beneath a veneer of trust. My hand hovered over the mouse, ready to watch the situation unfold as I began to address every lie she'd constructed. And I was just beginning to understand the extent of it. I watched Olivia's flight like a terminal screen flickering over the Atlantic, the little jet icon inching eastward until it passed the Irish coastline, and crossed into the gray of the channel. My coffee had gone cold, but I didn't know. The living room light cast a pale glow over my laptop screen, illuminating the flight tracker's progress bar as if it were a timeline of her deception. Each tick forward was a revelation, confirming that everything she'd whispered about business and networking was a fabrication. Chicago was a fabrication. The boarded plane to Paris was the truth. I felt the hard edge of reckoning sharpen in my gut.